Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, May 5th. We start with the invocation from Central United Methodist Church.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Lee, and I serve as the senior pastor at Oskaloosa Central United Methodist Church. It is an honor to offer the invocation for tonight's City Council meeting. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day and for the gift of gathering together as a community. We lift up the city of Oskaloosa into your hands. Bless this city with peace, safety, and prosperity. We pray for the leaders gathered here tonight. Grant them wisdom, patience, and compassion as they make decisions for the good of all. Guide every discussion, every vote, and every idea shared. May all that is done here be for the benefit of our neighbors and the flourishing of our community. We give thanks for those who serve, our public servants, first responders, educators, business owners, and volunteers. Strengthen their efforts and increase their hearts. We pray for every citizen, for families and children, for the elderly, for those facing challenges, and for those dreaming of new opportunities. May this city continue to be a place where all can grow, belong, and thrive. May your blessing rest on this meeting and on all who are part of it. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. To join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Olin. Here. Caligari.
Here.
Comfort.
Here.
Dross.
Here.
Herson. Ibrahim.
Here.
Ocean. Here.
Okay, thank you. First item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council. As statements brief, time would be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, council members, or mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so that way concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? Please come to the microphone. Name and address, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nathan Tarkelly. I live at 916 South C Street. I came here about 2 months ago and spoke on my road that we have a couple houses on. Kind of with the spring rain we've been getting, we're seeing a little more deterioration in our road, and I just thought I would just show face again, just kind of bring up my concern, and that the road's just losing its integrity. There's lots of holes. Someone's coming around to like teach my daughters to ride their bikes. It's just on a road like that, it's just not ideal. That's really all I have to say, just kind of bring it to the forefront again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have you spoken with Sean about this at all?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, so it might be worth doing that when there's a convenient time.
You're perfect.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would care to speak tonight?
Good evening. My name is Beth Janowski, and I'm here tonight representing the Mahaska Chamber and Development Board and Business Development Committee, speaking in support of the Jefferson Lofts project on your agenda, and I'd like to just share a few reasons why we're in support of that. First of all, we're concerned about the shortage of housing, especially workforce and senior housing, and appreciate your proactive study and investment in the 2023 Housing Needs Assessment Study. As a reminder, that study showed 60% of the survey respondents plan to retire in Oskaloosa. 64% of those felt they would not be able to find their preferred retirement housing in Oskaloosa. Of those, 30% prefer an apartment with services included, which is what North Arrow Partners is proposing. 20% of our population is age 65 and over. The study also showed there is an in-migration of retirees moving to Oskaloosa, so they have closer access to services and housing options that match their needs. We appreciate North Arrow Partners' interest and proposed $13 million investment in Oskaloosa to redevelop and repurpose the Jefferson School into senior housing. It rescues a building with historic value and character from being demolished and creates 42 senior housing apartments. On the secondary market, it also provides workforce housing for folks who are coming into our community. 2 years ago, Iowa State University released a research showing and defining smart senior towns and vulnerable senior towns. Smart senior towns work to retain seniors in the community and keep them involved as a resource. To be a smart senior town, seniors need quality, affordable housing places to live, high-quality health care, and opportunities to prosper and to thrive. We have 2 of those covered. Seniors have time to volunteer, they have a repository of knowledge, and some have saved money to invest in projects and foundations. They tend to shop locally and contribute to the quality of life in the community through businesses, arts, recreation, churches, and serving on boards and committees. In October 2002, the City Council was faced with condemning the Franco building, which now houses Smoky Row. Instead, they voted to invest invest the money designated for removal of the building and construction of a parking lot toward development of the Franco building, which now houses Smoky Row. It seems tonight the council is faced with a similar decision, and so we thank you for your vision and your favorable consideration of the Jefferson Law Project.
Thank you. Anyone else that would care to speak tonight? Okay, moving on. Next item up is the consideration and adoption of the consent agenda. These items are routine in nature, and they will be voted on as a single motion. The only one I wanted to draw attention to was item O. That is a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the vacation and sale of a 16-foot by 480-foot section of a north-south alley that's adjacent to 1011 North 3rd Street. That hearing is going to be on June 16th. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Calogeri,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to the regular part of past the consent agenda. Item 7 is the announcement of vacancies we have on various boards and commissions. The Airport Commission has a vacancy for a term ending December of 2028. The Building Code Board of Appeals has 1 vacancy for an ex officio member, and the Mahaska County Solid Waste Management Commission has 1 vacancy, and that's for a term ending in December of 2025. Moving into the regular agenda, first item up is to consider a resolution adopting proposals for employee benefits and insurance programs for fiscal year 2026. Brad Ryman is here to present. So Brad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. All of you, I believe, can refer to the handout that Kim has sent to you. First of all, the voluntary vision, there is no change to the rates, which does not affect the employees. Does not affect the city because the city pays the full cost of that. The voluntary dental, there's no change in rates as well, so no effect of that for the city. The group term life insurance for all the employees, there's no change in the rates in those as well. That current premium is $2,058. Group, that is annual. The group voluntary life, which is employee paid, which is not applicable to the city of Oskaloosa. The flexible spending account, we haven't received the renewal as of 5/5/25. Right now it's $831.60 a year, so I don't anticipate maybe 3% at the most. The HIPAA compliance went up 3.34, but when you look at that, the premium is only $243.12. And then our projected medical expenses for 2025-26 is going to go up 4.6%. Now that's expected based on what Wellmark thinks it's going to be. So if you turn to the next page, for some of you this is a new page you've seen before. So just to get a full of those who are new to here, keep in mind that the city only is at risk for any employee or belly button, if it may, employees and their family members. They're only liable for $50,000. So if you get $50,000, the most above that is all covered by the insurance company. All the claims underneath that are paid out of the fund by the city. Then there's a maximum point where it says that if it gets to this point, which is explained here, then the city also does not have to pay any claim. So anything underneath that 50,000 and out and above is all paid by an insurance carrier. Anything under that comes out of the fund. Now you have fixed costs for that. The city does pay, but then you got all those costs, your network fees, your advisor fee. I do want to make note for you. Our advisor fee went from $34 an employee per month to $35. You know, in today's world, that's probably, to be quite honestly, it should be higher, but we've had this count, and you've been very good customers of ours, so we've kept it at that. So the PBM fee is $1.10. The network fee is a $6.95, so there's no change on any of those. So the overall cost for fixed cost just went up about $2,000, which is $3.53%. Then the reinsurance rates that you pay for that $50,000 and for that attachment point went from $474.25 to $489.18. And then if you add the fixed cost above and the reinsurance fee, your overall fixed cost expense only went up 3.15. Quite honestly, that's one of the lowest cost renewals I've had all year. So you've been very blessed. The claims are about where Blue Cross Blue Shield thought they would be. If you should ever take the time to look at the experience for the last, I think I got 10 years in here, the key here is that you do not want anything to go above 80%. If you can stay below 80% of what the Blue Cross thinks the maximum would be, you're doing fine. And you're on track right now for, I think, 79, or I think we're at 78.52. Go back and look, there's only 1 year in those 10 years that it's ever gone over the 80%. So self-funded has worked for the city. And as you have seen from Kim's reports, you've got a lot of reserves there for your fund. So it's doing well. At the same time, you got a very rich plan. So having a rich plan, sometimes that takes away from that fund, but it hasn't, so it's done well. So the overall increase for Wellmark's increase is 4.72%, which is phenomenal. So as I told Kim this before Sean even showed up, he's got a good start because it's not a bad, it's good renewal. So any questions?
Yeah, I think we've been through this a few times. So,
well, if any of you have any questions that this new to, I know we got about 3 new ones on here, maybe 2. If you got any questions, just let Kim know and I can get a hold of you and I can kind of go through it with you again. Because I know this stuff can really be complicated sometimes. So we do the best we can for you so you understand it. So, are there any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion of support for the package presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B, this is a resolution directing sale of $2,955,000, rounds off to about $3 million, of general obligation capital loan notes, Series 2020.
Well, I want to start with the city's Moody's AA3 rating was affirmed, so congratulations to the city on a very solid, very good rating from Moody's. Let's see, so we received 6 bids from 28 different banks. The offering today was the $2.955 million over 15 years, and we were bank qualified, which means the city will be issuing less than $10 million this calendar year. So that gave us a little bit of a competitive advantage in the market today. 6 bids is actually a little bit better than we've seen in the recent weeks because of some of the uncertainty from this little thing called tariffs that are kind of rippling through the financial markets. So We were very pleased to see 6 bids today, and we got the right bids. Not only did we get 6 bids, we got the right bids. When we look at how we determine who's the winner, we use true interest costs. TIC is what the acronym that we like to use in our world. TIC, true interest cost method, which is sort of that aggregated APR rate. And today, the TICs from the first place bid to the last place bid range from 3.74% to 4.19%. And in today's world, that's fantastic. And the other thing that I like to look at is how close is the first place and the second place bidder. You know, I'm always looking at that range, how close and what was the market consensus today. And interestingly enough, Raymond James, Robert W. Baird has been winning every sale that we've had for weeks now. They have the large selling group of 23 members, but today Raymond James sort of just swooped in and won the day. They were 7 basis points lower than Robert W. Baird, and Robert W. Baird was, where were we at, 399, so we were 17 basis points lower than what I would say was market consensus. So that is almost 25 basis points below sort of that market consensus rate at 3.99. So to be below 4% is a win. To be at 375 is fantastic. So very pleased with the pricing. And so the winning bid came from Raymond James out of Dallas, Texas, at a true interest cost of 3.7494. The second place, we call that the cover bid, the second place bid came from Baird with their large 23-member selling syndicate. Pricing today was only 23 basis points or 0.23% over the AAA scale. That is better than some of the other sales that were remain unnamed, for the record. Excellent pricing today. So I couldn't be more thrilled. It's under budget. This is, I don't remember the dollar amount, but we resized the bonds today to release the premium. We didn't need it, and to match the 26 budget. And then in 27 forward, we're $20,000 to $25,000 less in annual principal and interest costs than what PFM had estimated. So nothing but good news for me today. So any questions?
No?
Okay.
Very good.
Congratulations.
So thank you very much, Suzanne.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Okay, so does anyone want to make the motion regarding directing the sale of the bonds?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Olive,
Yes.
Caledonia,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item C, this is to consider a resolution accepting the downtown master plan and design standards for the City Square Commercial Historic District of Oskaloosa. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So we've been working with this group of students from the University of Iowa for about 9 months now. They are very excited to be here tonight. They're going to do the heavy lifting, so they're excited to present their findings and their studies and efforts on this project. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to them.
Very good, thank you.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So we wanted to thank you for being here to listen to our presentation of the downtown plan that we've created. This project has been a collaborative effort. Okay. So I'd like to introduce you to our team. Here we are. We all have various concentrations ranging from land use and environment to transportation and housing. So, this project would not have been possible without the support of our community partners. We especially wanted to thank Sean, Pathfinders, the university, and our faculty advisor Scott Spack, and Travis Krause, the director of Iowa Initiative for Sustainable Communities. So, here is a timeline of the past several months. We followed a structured approach, and during our first semester, we focused on clearly defining our scope. And this semester, we are building on that foundational work to create a concrete recommendations and an actionable plan for the city. Alrighty, so now that we've introduced ourselves and our partners along with the timeline, we wanted to provide a bit more context about the heart of our project. So we looked at Oskaloosa's downtown and saw a lot of great assets already here. And while Oskaloosa has a lot of great things going for it, we also identified some key areas where improvements can be made. So, alrighty. One concern that came up was the limited access and connection for students to the downtown area. We also observed the need for clear signage, and finally, we noted challenges with pedestrian safety in certain areas. The infrastructure currently feels very car-dominated, which can sometimes make it less inviting for walking and biking. Our plan focused on 4 core ideas: creating vibrant places through placemaking, improving options for walking and biking, historic preservation updates, and highlighting what makes Oskaloosa so special. Okay, so to get there, we looked closely at things like physical barriers in the downtown, current policies and transportation projects, the assets of the community, and the great things that Oskaloosa currently has and how to make them better.
And this section is about what we did to gain a better understanding of the issues faced downtown from different points of view. Starting with the meeting that we had with the city staff, and we continued this meeting virtually over this time on a regular basis, and then we meet with the Historic Preservation Commission to see what's their expectation from the update of the guideline, and then we met with the representative of the Moscow and Penn Central Mall, 2 stakeholders in the downtown. Then we had our community engagement in 3 different locations, City Square Park and Mall and high school football game. We were lucky to talk with over 100 Oskaloosa residents during this event, which was a really strong foundation for this project. And then we had the meeting with the stakeholders. We met with experienced Oskaloosa, who are the board of the business owners in downtown area, and then we met with Professor Johnston from the university, William Penn University, and we were looking for the possible ways to engaging students more in the downtown area. Last month, we were hosting our community open house in a mall. We welcomed more than 40 attendees to whom we presented 6 different concept designs that we had, and the feedback that we gathered during this activity had a really valuable role to shaping the final design and implementation that we are about to present today.
All right, so let's get into a more in-depth look, starting with walkability. So this map illustrates our walkability analysis of the downtown area. The lighter shaded area represents a 1-minute walk to key amenities downtown, such as office and retail spaces, restaurants, and the public library, which is located right here for you guys. Moving on, to further illustrate the natural walkability of the downtown, we did a comparative analysis. So this map shows that even a walking around a large retail space like Walmart is actually longer than all of the routes in the core downtown. So building on this, we examined specific routes within downtown, and here we've highlighted 3 different walking paths from locations to the city square. And as you can see, each of these are approximately 3 to 6 minutes. This reinforces the key point that despite the presence of parking areas, destinations in the downtown is pedestrian friendly. Moving on, we focused on understanding the existing parking and open space distribution within downtown. So when considering both on-street and off-street parking, the total number of spaces available in the downtown is just under 2,500. This analysis allows us to map the current locations of open spaces, providing a baseline for considering future enhancements and their relationship to the parking availability. And those are located there. All right, so finally we examined the current state of upper story spaces, and understanding the existing capacity was essential information to helping us provide recommendations. Another key analysis involved looking at comparable communities, and we narrowed our focus down to 5 with similarities in demographics, proximity to a college, and similar economic trends as Oskaloosa. Through this, we found several common themes, including strong emphasis on historic preservation, active arts and culture, implementation of economic development initiatives, and close relationships with local organizations. Lastly, we conducted a SWOT analysis. First, looking at strengths, we identified several internal attributes, including great local attractions and community events, and an active planning culture, which is located here. Weaknesses are the current issues within our scope, such as the disrupted connection in the downtown and limited public transport. Turning to the opportunities, these are external conditions that we can leverage, like securing funding for this plan's implementation and the highway jurisdiction transfer, to name a few. And lastly, threats are what could be a potential issue in the future, which is lack of motivation for active transportation, crime and safety concerns, and the political feasibility of our scope of work.
Moving to next chapter. In this chapter, we will talk about the goals that we define for the downtown master plan, and also how we are imagining the downtown of the Oskaloosa will look like in the future years. We define 4 main goals for the downtown, starting with the improve the pedestrian environment, foster future economic development, implementing cohesive placemaking and identity, and grow community partnership. All of these goals are materialized with the related objective, action steps, and indication of the focus areas in our draft. But because of the time limitation, we will go to the goal 1 and goal 3 during this presentation. Moving to goal 1, pedestrian atmosphere. 5 different action steps are considered for this goal, starting with the comprehensive plan for bike lane. The primary goal for this action is connecting the university and the downtown with the bike lane. We have 3 different options and alternatives for this implementation. The first one goes from the North H Street, and the second one will pass through the North D and North E Street, and the third one goes from North 3rd Street. And after further consideration and the community feedback that we gathered, alternative 1 and 2 are more preferable. And among those ways that this bike lane can be constructed, the dedicated bike lane and 8-foot wide active trail are more suggested over the sharing the road. After construction, the bypass and connector, the streets need to redeveloped by streetscaping to enhance the design safety and function of the streets in the downtown area. And as we talked, the downtown boundary has increased for this plan, so increasing the infrastructure for pedestrian to connect the west side and east side of the downtown is suggested. And by combining the crosswalks and sidewalks with art and colors and readjusting the signal timers, we are pretty sure that the pedestrian will feel more safe walking in downtown. And lastly, working on any potential disconnectivity that the sidewalk has in this area. Goal 3, placemaking. For this goal, we have 5 different focus areas: mall, food truck park, informative signages, urban settings, and pocket parks. Starting with the mall, in this slide we want to show you with 4 different interventions. We are aiming to encourage more people to pass through the mall because of the connectivity purpose, because mall is now in the center of the downtown, and for connect the west and east side is essential to encourage people to walk through the mall. Starting with the this capacity that the mall has, and it can host all season events in this center court that has. By redesigning the windows, we are hoping that the reflection of the different reflection of the sunlight and colored one, which is the unique interior design feature, will attract more people during the certain time of the day when we have the most reflection. And the empty walls in the mall can host and welcome the local artists for the community murals and public art, which can enhance the environment over there. And the wide area between the stores in the mall can be used to install the affordable kiosk and pop-up retails, increase the number of retails in the mall, and welcome to small businesses. Increase the number of businesses in the mall will also have the economic prosperity in downtown area. truck park. After evaluation several alternatives, we decided that the food truck park should remain in its current location. But because the city doesn't own this lot, we needed a flexible, low-cost strategy that works year-round, whether the event is happening or not. So our solution is a color-coded ground pattern that clearly organizes the space into 6 zones. Zone 1 is food truck area, pickup zone. We will have a mobile toilet area, the outdoor seating, and this is the kind of design that we are thinking about for sitting area. A very comfy area that you can sit and eat your meal with the shadow and light. We will have chill zone and a stage for movie nights and musical performances. Signs can connect the people to the community through information and history, and you all know that Oskaloosa has a successful experience in this area. But based on the feedback that we gathered, the downtown area needs to be more readable for residents and also visitors. So we are suggesting more wayfinding signages, and we highlighted the potential areas that they need to be installed in our draft. And urban seating, a well-planned seating arrangement creates spaces that draw people into connecting with the environment around them. So a very arranged sitting area near the popular restaurant in the downtown area gives the opportunity to eat out and increase the livability in downtown area, and cohesive benches in the sidewalks, which is equipped with the bike rack to welcome the cyclists, and also a tree or greenery nearby for the shadow purpose. Pocket parks. As Bella mentioned in our analysis part, the downtown area has a significant shortage of public and open spaces. So we focus on identifying the opportunities for pocket parks, a small but meaningful area to serve the community. One of the locations was the ATM lot. That from the very beginning, the city staff asked us to reconsider and reimagine this space to something else that can be used by the community. So among the 3 different designs that we had for this space, this design received the most positive feedback in our community engagement, which is an open multi-level structure that creates a unique space for a gathering with friends and family. And the second level adds a flexible space for events, and the overall design is accommodate the seasonal market or farmers market. This is how it looks like from the north, and this is the south side of the design that we have. And this is what it looks like from the second floor. The second option for the pocket parks is the abandoned and narrow area above the soccer mini pitch, which is next to the basketball court and Oskaloosa skate park. Because of these kind of activities, we call this area activity zone of the downtown, so we wanted to design something which is pocket park and have the activity theme. So we came up with the area which has the chess tables for the parents or adults to come and play while they are waiting for the children, and it will be a place for the cycling to rest. And also we are proposing a really light material like rubber box for separating the park from the parking, which is located in the south side. And this is the overall design of the space.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Now we're all the way back on slide 5. There we go.
Okay, so funding options, we came up with 4 different ways for this draft in downtown area in a way that it can be funded. So all these options were discussed in detail, and we proposed other options the city can use to fund the recommendations within our plan. So to wrap up the presentation, we will end with the implementation. The inputs that we had from the beginning, which are the unique features of downtown, include partnerships in Oskaloosa downtown businesses and the Bypass Connector project. Along with that, we took several action steps to get to where we are now, which are the stakeholder meetings, current condition analysis, historic guideline revisions, and finalizing our plan. Alrighty, so here is our short term. Going back to that. Here's our short term. We have 3 different phases in our plan, and we believe that the city can start with the list of things that can be done in less than 3 years. So, such as the comprehensive bike lane network, adjusting crosswalks and signal timers, and identifying locations for wayfinding signs. In the medium term, this is around 3 to 5 years, it's finalizing engineering and funding for post-bypass streetscapes, begin phasing construction of high-priority bike lanes, and converting at least one of the underutilized lots into a pocket park. And lastly, within the long term is 5 to 10 years, and we propose to finish the bike lane network and remaining streetscaping projects, conduct safety and economic impact studies, and achieve high occupancy of upper story spaces. Our team is in the audience with us today, and we will now open the floor for questions and comments from you guys.
That was fast. Compliments on the work. Several slides back, there was an expression that said a heat island effect. It had to do with the threats. What is the heat island effect?
So that's kind of where a lot of the space in that map show that it was developed, and so that doesn't leave a lot of opportunities for open space to cover and have like the remaining heat that, what is it called? That reflects off of the ground.
Okay.
So the open spaces would allow for some retention with planting some trees and other landscaping.
Okay, I get that. Okay. Other questions from council people?
Did you take, we've got 2 highways coming through town. Once I finally understood that, then a lot of it, like it's very difficult to cross the street. And you can't have crosswalks and then bike lanes and things like that. There's things that we can't control because it's state, Did you look into those factors as well? Because to be honest, I've had more adrenaline rushes, including one this afternoon, from drivers in this town that do not encourage me to walk.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So I just,
Yeah, so our plan is encompassing once that bypass
right.
goes into jurisdiction is passed over to the city.
Okay.
We hope.
We hope. Yeah. You weren't here when we went from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. I thought people were going to have literal heart attacks on the floor, and it's all been good. In fact, that saved my husband's and my life at one point, because it gave them, but it wasn't, how communities react to change and that. Any ideas on water? There's no, when you talked about pocket parks and that, there's always a draw. So when you do landscape design, you want something to walk toward, and water is always that. Was there any discussion about that? I know the 2nd graders in town would love a splash pad.
That has been a year-long conversation.
My grandchildren have commented, "Where's the splash pad?" And I'll go wherever they're going, and if they, it's that kind of,
Yes. In our last open house at the mall, when we had presented multiple different options for the community, we had one that mainly focused primarily on a place for kids to play and run around. One of the concerns that was brought up to us was, since it is so close to the streets, it may not be the best idea, but there were some recommendations that were in our plan that offered that option as well.
And one of those was in our big city park.
Okay.
From what I heard, people who live
And
there.
I just saw the Boy Scouts at the little pocket park at the library. Now that one with the fenced area and then that huge seat, you know, it's a oh wow factor. And that, you know, but it's also very safe and very contained, and you know, so.
Other comments or questions from council?
I just think tagging on to the highways, valid point, Lisa, and with those of us who've been around a while, there's been multiple conversations with when the bypass work gets done, and hopefully, Joe, the transfer of jurisdiction of the state highways to city jurisdiction, that will allow us, if it happens, more flexibility in what we do.
Right.
And I've had multiple developers tell me that when you get especially the truck traffic out of downtown, it makes it even much more attractive, not just pedestrian traffic, bike traffic, but also for businesses. And it just makes our downtown more walkable. So I appreciate that you recognize that in that study, because it is a big thing. And we've talked multiple times about I mean, you know, to Lisa's point, there's only so much we can do with the streetscaping and the patio areas, the little bistro look in the along the curb, you know, almost in the street. But we haven't been able to do some of that because of that jurisdiction that we've been under. So when these bypasses get done, 2 years.
Let's hope.
We've been talking about it since the 70s, I hear.
Yeah, but I think that we will have an opportunity to do that. So thank you.
And in regards to the wayfinding signs, we already did some of that on the state roads, as you've probably seen already. But also there was discussion, and I think we had a plan for wayfinding signs within the city on city roads, you know, but that never occurred yet.
Right.
But we didn't implement it.
But it is an idea. People also,
Yeah.
you know, a great idea is why don't we close off for the festivals? We have fantastic festivals here. Just close the square off.
Oh, we do
Which
that.
is a great idea. We can, but we can only do it so much because we also have to abide by state laws in that. So anyway, one other comment I'll make, and this does not make me popular, but the use of Chief Mahaska, the statue, is a locally beloved statue. However, it makes others wince. I've had to explain it to a number of people, you know, what that is, and you know, so what one person may love may offend another, and that's something you want to think about, you know, with that. There's a phrase in here that said we had an uninhabited area. No, there were people always living here, you know, and things like that. So that's something I've always had to say to students. You have to sometimes pull back a little bit and see, you know, what may look good on the surface could be, you know, offensive to somebody else. And if you're applying for outside money and that, you have to be very, very careful on the imagery, the phrasings, and things like that. So I don't want to knock down the statue. I think we ought to add some other statues that are a little more modern, would be my suggestion. We have great statues throughout the city, and I've always thought it's too bad that those aren't walkable to go see them, you know. But anyway, great job. It's a difficult topic.
Yes.
That's a great job. Okay, thank you very much. So I believe we have the opportunity to consider a resolution accepting the downtown master plan. Do we have a motion of support for that?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Ruff?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to item D. This is to consider a resolution authorizing a 2080 agreement with Mahaska County for the Southeast Connector project. And so the city has been working with Mahaska County and the Iowa DOT on the Southeast Connector project. It's primarily funded by a RISE grant for 65% of it, with the remaining 35% being split evenly between the city and the county. During the engineering design phase, the city made payments to reimburse the county for our share of the costs, as they've been incurring based on affirming resolutions that are passed by the city council. As the construction phase of the project is beginning, Mahaska County has requested a 2080 be accepted to formally confirm that the city's agreement to pay our portion of the project costs. So under the agreement, the county will continue to be the primary provider of services to the project and will make initial payments to the relevant contractors, with the city of Oskaloosa reimbursing the county for our portion. Staff is recommending a resolution authorizing the 2080 agreement. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E. This is a resolution that's authorizing a loan from the Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund. It's for the Jefferson School Lofts Senior Housing Project. So the developer, North Arrow Partners, met with staff to provide an update on the Jefferson School Lofts project. There is now a $1.4 million gap in the $13 million project, and they're reaching out to the community to help fill it. So without additional funding, the school project can't proceed. So the possible approach that is being presented to council tonight is the $400,000 of the developer contribution would eliminate their profit or developer fees. So there's where the first 400 grand comes from. The $250,000 loan request is being made of the city's housing trust fund. Another $250,000 loan is being requested from the Mahaska County Revolving Loan Fund, and an additional $500,000 grant request is being made to the George Daly Trust, and that would be payable to them over 2 years. Developer has stated that a loan issued by the city for use during construction would be more beneficial to the project than getting a TIF rebate that would be after construction. However, the developer also stated that the project cannot support repayment during the initial stabilization period due to Section 42 nature of the project. So they requested a loan with the terms that it be non-amortizing, 0% interest rate, and a 15-year term with a balloon payment at maturity. The loan would be subordinate to the first mortgage, IFA senior revolving note, and the sponsor note. Oskaloosa Housing Trust Fund was established in 2000 to address housing issues in the city. The fund was previously used to help rehabilitate Grant and Lincoln elementary schools into affordable family and senior housing, and also to construct the Ironwood apartments in 2015. The City Council does have full discretion over the use of its funding. So the recommendation that's being made is to discuss and consider doing a loan in lieu of a developer agreement or a TIF rebate for the projects. And probably of chief concern is the lack of other developers or buyers, the further deterioration of the building, ongoing impact to the neighborhood, and future costs to the city if the property does become abandoned. So, does anyone want to make the motion on this resolution?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I think when the elementary school was built, this was what was envisioned, that we would rehab those properties from old elementary schools to community use, and this neighborhood needs that building, the property to be rehabbed to this, and it's going to benefit the city, so it just makes sense.
And me being on the Housing Trust Fund back in the day, you know, we were doing other projects, but this is a good project for that.
Okay.
We need a facility like that here in town.
Okay.
I might live there one day, who knows?
We'll put you there, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I need the age.
We're gonna try to run him out of town before he gets.
Has there been any consideration of not having it just retirement? I mean, some is mixed age, mixed use.
Sean, do you want to?
Yeah, I didn't know who was, you know.
I can speak about it. Thank you for consideration. My name is John Cronin. I'm with North Arrow Partners and part of the development team. So to answer your question, we applied to IFA, Iowa Finance Authority, for LIHTC, which is tax credit financing, and you have to designate whether you're going to be a senior or a family project at that time. And so we did designate it as a senior, which is 55 plus, which I'm eligible for as well. Anyway, so yes, it is a senior project, so all 42 units would be for seniors, 55 and older.
Would it also, because I unusually have a 30-year-old daughter living in a retirement community here in town because she's disabled. Does it have that?
You know, that's a good question. Jerry, I'm not
Because
sure
legally, I hadn't thought about that, and she was having a difficult time finding an apartment. And there's several in the community. It's by Oskaloosa. It's Oskaloosa Park. you know. And so I was just curious. if
I
there's-
think that would be great, and I would be, but I don't know, I have to follow the
Okay,
rules.
I'm
I'm
just-
not sure whether the section 42 of that particular designation, IFA would have permitted such a case. You know, obviously we have to comply with
Yeah,
their
and I
housing, so.
don't know, some of them, if it's strictly age, or if it's either, you know, if it's that exception
That's
as
something
well.
to check out. Do you have any thought about that, Barry?
Jerry Floyd with Front Porch Development. To answer your question, I believe there will have to be at least one person qualifying as a 55-year-old to anyone.
Okay.
And when you get to the 62 and over categories, that changes a little bit.
Okay.
But I believe with 55, don't quote me on it, but I believe that's what it is.
Okay, but I'm asking about disabled.
Right, that's
who are
correct.
younger.
So let me check into that for you, because, you know, obviously, one of the features that we have in building this project is to, and a lot of communities, is that, you know, accessibility is such an important part. And a lot of seniors that are here in town that are in their own homes or in other apartments are not in accessible living. And so we're going to have, of the 42 units, I believe we have 6 or 8, I'd have to look at it, that are fully accessible, and all units will be adaptable so that they could be converted for mobility issues or anything like that. So that's something that's not, in a lot of communities, they might not have that kind of, with the current standards.
Because I have another daughter who's living in a disabled accessibility in Davenport, but they put it on the 6th floor. Well, if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to rent an apartment on the 6th floor.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So it's like, I don't know who did this development plan.
There should be a good wide elevator that takes you up there and wide hallways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But let me check into that for sure and get back to you on that
okay.
particular.
Will these be rental units, or
They're all rental units, correct.
Okay, so they're not condominiums.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I think it's a fantastic project.
Yeah.
when we get it
Yeah,
done.
it looks stunning.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're excited about it. I think it's a really good project. We you know, it just so happened that this financial gap kind of came as a result of a drop in equity prices that happened after our application. So, you know, when you're awarded tax credits, you sell these tax credits or syndicate them in order to have equity. And so we make an assumption based upon information, letters that we get from investors at the time of application. But by the time we came around to actually, after the award, which was several months later, that price was no longer current. And so that drop, and every penny for each dollar that it drops, it translates to about $100,000. So we dropped from 84 cents on the dollar to 76 cents on the dollar. So it was $800,000 plus some other additional stuff. So it's a challenge, but that's why we're here, and we really appreciate your consideration.
Well, and compliments for the folks putting together the package to say, yeah, we can get there from here.
Yeah.
If somebody walks up to you and says, I need to fill a $1.4 million gap, a lot of folks would be tempted to say, I don't see how we can do that.
Yeah.
So kudos to
Well,
everyone
you know,
involved on the team.
This is kind of a step-by-step process, so, you know, we're hopeful that you're supportive. Obviously, we have to, you know, we have to work with Manhattan County and Georgia City.
That we would probably want to include as part of the mortgage if the council is inclined to move forward. So a couple of conditions, which would include some sort of construction or completion deadline, or they would otherwise be in default of a loan from the city. And then similarly, that if they were to be in default of that loan, that there should be some sort of interest that would accrue because of that default. So I think staff's recommendation, if again you choose to move forward, to include those terms or conditions in that mortgage.
I would agree with that.
So pressing further then, is there a recommended date for completion that we should be hitting on that?
Well, yes. So it's our intent. We're kind of under the gun in some ways. Because,
Would you please step to the microphone?
When you're awarded tax credits, there's a timeline for that, and we have to meet a certain placed in service date, which means that we have to have it completed by, I think, it's December 31st, 2026. It has to be completed by. Now, there's other benchmarks that have to occur prior to that. And one's coming up real fast here on July 1st, which is what they refer to as a 10% test, which means that we have to spend 10% of the total development cost on the project, which means if it's 13 million, we have to spend 1.5 million by July 1st. So construction, we would like to start, if everything lines up, here in June, over the next 45 days, mid-June, so that we can kind of get into that. And so we anticipate it to be about a 15-month construction schedule. So June, say by September 1st, 2026, would be completed.
Okay. So with that information, what would be a good date?
I don't know, I've never built anything.
Can we use, Sean?
You already got a date?
Just stay up there, Sean.
Sean's got a date already.
I would like that.
If you were to trust us, we could work with the developer in determining a date that would fit with their schedule.
Okay.
I think we could identify that completion date within the rough timeline that John laid out.
I'm good with that.
I go with that.
I like that idea too.
And I would assume too, Mr. Mayor, if we were on the road doing so, and if there was some snag holding it up, if need be, I would assume the deadline could be amended if everyone were agreeable to that as well.
Okay.
With limitations.
So then,
drop that date anyways.
So as a point of order then, we could have the resolution say to be as determined by staff in crafting the agreement. We would also be able to stay, how about dealing with the interest rate?
That, and I said that kind of arbitrarily. The way it was presented to me, of course, it's payable 15 years out. And obviously, we'd be trying to get around that by having the other thing in there. And of course, there would otherwise be no incentive. It's 0 interest rate, but then to have some incentive to make sure something does happen. Now, what is that rate? We've really not discussed that. I mean, I suppose essentially it's a default rate. In my own mind, I'd visualize something like 5%. Where'd that come from? I just pulled that out of the air, just snatching a figure. Obviously, if construction and everything is done as agreed, that will never come into play.
Right, of course.
So.
Okay. So, and I think that's relatively close to whatever prime is right now anyway, so.
Probably right.
I think, in my opinion, with the date, if your tax credits deadline is December 31st, 2026, I'd recommend that we use that date because it's consistent with the program by which you're executing on, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
And we have history at amending those dates. Again, assuming progress is being made and reasonable communication, I'm good with that.
Okay. So December 31, 5%?
Good.
2026.
Okay.
Right.
Who
26.
made the motion?
I did.
Okay, so Joe says it's okay. Who seconded?
Good with that.
Okay, very good. Other comments? Roll call.
Almond?
Yes.
Calgery?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Beaverham?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item F. This is to consider an ordinance to amend Chapter 10.48.240 having to do with no parking zones. Staff did receive a request to remove the parking restrictions on Gurney Street. This is from True Blood Avenue to Rosenberger Avenue. Current parking is restricted from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. along the east side of that street. Traffic Safety Commission was informed and they were not opposed to the removal of restrictions in regard to traffic safety. The adjacent property owners were surveyed. There was 11 of them. 5 responses were received, 2 in favor of the restriction removal. There were 3 opposed. The rest were silent. A full document showing the ordinance changes is attached to the item and is summarized in general. Removing the no parking zone 139 from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. along the east side of Gurney Street from True Blood Avenue to Rosenberger, and also changes to subsequent no parking zones numerical listings. 140 now becomes 139 and so on. So, this is an item to consider an ordinance, and so it's the first reading. Let's start off. Do we have a motion of support for this first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, what, I thought this was some years ago, this was taken care of. I'm confused, but I guess it's water on the bridge now, but, what prompted all this? Anybody know? I mean,
Resident request?
yeah?
Yeah, this was just a resident request. The parking zone, I think he had some conflict with his personal use and trying to meet the hours, so he requested that we investigate it.
Okay.
Rhonda, you had a comment.
It's very crowded over there.
Yeah.
It's very crowded. I'm up and down this road a lot for work, so I guess I'm not sure I'm not sure.
The current restriction is only 8 to 3:30, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, there is overnight parking allowed on both
Mhm.
sides of the street.
Yes.
And it would be correct to assume, maybe none of us have been alive long enough, but that this restriction is put in place because of parking
Mhm.
for
the college?
People parking for the college?
Yeah, my understanding is this restriction is for that purpose.
Mhm.
The owner requesting felt that wasn't happening anymore, but obviously that's
So you had 3 opposed
not
and two
necessary.
in favor, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you had more people opposed to it.
Well, and 5 silent, so
Mhm.
decide what you want to do with that, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
6, I guess, silent.
Three of those
Do the math.
are owned by the college, I believe.
Yeah, several of those are William Penn.
Several of them are.
11, 12, and 3, I think.
Yeah.
3,
Okay.
Heather, you work at the college. What do you see?
It's crazy over there.
I mean,
It can be. I mean, it just depends, and students always follow every rule you put out there. So I'm not sure that what happens here is gonna. There are available lots, is what I'll say.
I agree.
You know,
I agree.
the MTC.
Even just
part
in
of
a
the
big
pack-
truck, like just
part of the
getting down
pack
through there.
parking lot. I mean, is
Yeah, or even Chief Vaughn and his fire truck are in WI. I would
If-
not be in favor of changing it.
if it was if it was currently no parking 24/7, I'd be more likely to recommend approving pulling it away.
Okay.
But it is just during they say it's if I think I this is me, if I live there and I want to park and I need to park on the street, can't get in the garage, driveway, whatever, I need to park on the street, I still have that ability to do that overnight. And is it just a Monday through Friday, or is
Monday through Friday.
just Monday through Friday, so I can park both sides
I live
of
up
the street
right
all
here,
weekend?
so.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just Monday to Friday.
Other comments? This is the first reading. Roll call, please.
Calogeri,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
No.
Ibrahim,
No.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
No.
We're tied. So, point of order.
I was just trying to think, my recollection is, I think we have a policy that we have tie, it gets kicked to the next meeting, not
Yeah.
working from memory. Charlie's nodding, so it must be correct.
Yep. Okay. So it passes to the next meeting.
I would encourage everybody to drive down that road, just
I know the road, I live up,
yeah,
I live up.
because I literally was just down that road like last Thursday or Friday, so.
Okay. Item G.
I think it's 24/7. That's where I'm wavering.
This is an item that's asking for discussion regarding seeking proposals for a review of the wastewater facility plan. City of Oskaloosa has been working with Fox Rand Associates on designing a new water resource recovery facility to replace the existing southeast wastewater treatment facility. That's based on the results of the wastewater facility plan prepared in August of 2017. Since the initial implementation of the plan, there have been significant design and scope changes to the progress and price of implementing the plan. And the cost has gone up dramatically due to market conditions. So the cost of the project is currently estimated at around $66 million, specifically allocated for construction. Because of the timeline and the changes that have been noted above, staff would like to hire an independent firm to review the current plan and make recommendations if there are changes which may be more efficient for the use of city funds that may not have been considered. Staff is requesting direction from the council if staff should move forward with an RFP to perform the prescribed work. In essence, let's take one more look and see if we can think outside the box. Is there a better solution? Staff is recommending the city council approve seeking proposals to review the wastewater facility plan. I'll open up the discussion. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this?
As far as timeline, is this with our restrictions and our needing to get this done, is that gonna?
Right.
This would run outside of everything that Fox is doing. So it would not change in any way the timelines of what's being worked on, but it is an opportunity to say, okay, are we sure? Are we positive that this is the best solution?
I would like somebody to look at this because we're talking $66 million here.
Right.
I would
This-
go ahead, Lisa.
And this is an 8-year-old plan?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean, technology changes.
You might remember it went from 2 plans to now we're working on 1 plan. It
Okay.
started out at I think $40 million, then ballooned up to
Right.
getting close to 100 at one point. Yeah. And
this
so has there been no technology changes in the meantime? Are we sure that there isn't a
Right,
better way
right.
to do this, accomplish the same end result?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think we need to go the RFP route and have a second look at this. As we've listened to the stuff from Fox Strand, I think they're qualified. I don't think they're doing anything negligent of the city by just kind of questioning some of the few things related to that project recently. So I think a second look would be prudent if we're going to spend $66 million. I want to be sure. I want to be dang sure we've done everything to save money and make sure we're getting the right project.
Okay. Any other comments? We've got consensus. Do we need a vote on this? It's not a resolution, it's just a discussion, so I think we have consensus. Okay. That gets us to the end of the agenda. Any reports from city staff, city manager, anything?
Thank you for those that have filled out the survey. That's very helpful. I think there may be 1 or 2 facilities to fill it out. Hopefully it's okay to give homework to my bosses. but I think it will be helpful. It already has, as I've been kind of looking at that, to just kind of narrow down that strategic plan a little bit more.
Okay.
It's bringing more focus to the plan, so appreciate that.
Okay. City clerk, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pam. City attorney, anything?
Nothing, thank you, sir.
Okay. Getting to city council members. Abu, we'll start with you.
Street did great over at Edmondson in the parking lot of the golf course. That did a lot of nice patchwork in there because I was needing some help, so I really appreciate that because I spent a lot of time over there. And then Friday got to spend some time at Cheap Baking handing out some tickets, so that was really cool. Get to do some stuff again. There weren't real tickets or trio gift cards, so hoping to continue doing that here and there over at the school. So that's all I got.
Rob? Okay, Bob?
I just want to go back to our friends with North Arrow and the Jefferson Lofts project. What I like about where we're at with this proposal, I think it sucks that you've got $1.4 million gap. Not unexpected in the current conditions, but what I really like about this is that everybody's playing a part. So when we talked about the strategic plan here a couple of weeks ago in a work session, we talked about collaboration, we talked about the need for private and public partnerships. That's what we're looking at. So I think check that off the list, Sean. We're achieving our strategic plan by doing this with you guys. So thank you. It's a great project.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to make a jump.
Oh.
Lisa?
Anyway, I wanted to thank the library staff. I have been working on a manuscript and I had a deadline of May 1st, and they have seen me like every day, and they are always patient and always kind. And anyway, a library to me is the heart of the community. We've got a really, really special heart there. And just seeing all the people coming in, and that I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sean, for your updates on Friday. The fire chief's not here, but I got out and mowed my yard. That's the longest it's ever been. I was really afraid of being fined. And so I did that. I'd like to do something about the golf carts in town. It just makes me gasp when I see on C Avenue or by the Y, people flying with their kids bouncing along, and it's just, so I know they're fun, but there was just a death, a very public death recently off a golf cart. So not here, but anyway, we just need to do something with the golf carts.
Okay. Joe, anything? Charlie?
Yeah, I know we've been here a while, but I've got a few comments to make that might take a couple moments.
Floor is yours.
The floor is mine. I even have notes. We'll take a trip down memory lane. So February 2007 was the first time I came to a city council meeting. I was an 8th grade student, and really only one person in this room besides me was there that night, and it was actually Dave Dixon. He was the mayor at the time.
My hair wasn't white then, probably.
All those airport meetings, right?
Yeah.
So that meeting, just kind of sparked something in me. I was really captivated by the process of local government. And before long, I kind of became a regular here at council meetings and school board meetings. And before too long, Dave Dixon and Randy DeGeest, our city attorney at the time, asked me to lead the council in the Pledge of Allegiance. So it kind of became just the routine. Charlie Comfort was here, he led us in the pledge, and it was just kind of something I took pretty serious. Even at that time, though, I really kind of had that dream of being on the council. And kind of a funny side story that Dave Dixon knows. If there was ever a time where I was misbehaving at home or if my grades slipped, my parents had the unique opportunity of being able to threaten taking away city council meetings from me, and it was effective. It was effective. Who would have thought? So in January 2022, I took my seat here as an at-large council member, and as many people know, though, my journey in public service began back in 2011 when I was 18 and got elected to the school board. So I did a term. 2019, I got back on the board. I've been president for a couple of years, and I think my hair's thinned a little bit in that, and I lost a lot of weight. I don't think it's related to this board presidency, but who knows. So as I reflect on those years of service, I'm reminded of how much the community has changed for the better. When I first walked into these chambers back in 2007, Don Sander was our city manager, Carolyn McGahey was our school superintendent, Tom Riley was our state senator, Eric Palmer was our state representative. I think every single elected position in this town has turned over at least once since then. I've seen major projects launched, developed, and kind of take shape, and I've had a front row seat to all that. There's been a lot of whispering and talk kind of about my personal life recently, so the truth is, I recently sold my house, and I'm in the process of transitioning to another community. Been maintaining legal residency here in Oskaloosa, and I'm unapologetic about the fact that I've done that, and I think I've fully complied with the law, much like other our own congresswoman and some other state elected officials have done. But for whatever reason, it's just been kind of a distraction. So I've reflected on it a lot, and I think I've learned over the years that part of leadership knowing when it's time to step aside. Sometimes that decision is not made for your own convenience, but really for the good of the organization, the team, and the community. So for me, that time has come. So effective May 14th, I will be stepping off the council and the school board. So tonight's the last night I get to be with everybody. I've accepted this decision, just not with any bitterness, but just with gratitude, just for the trust that was placed in me over the past rough decade or so of service here to this community. But I think there's a few people I want to thank. So of course I want to thank everybody in the council. It's been an honor to serve alongside everybody. I think while we haven't always agreed on everything, which is perfectly fine, I think we moved our community forward. To Sean, I'm really bummed I'm not going to get to work with you, but you are a transformational leader. Like I said, I'm bummed I'm not going to get to see you take your full vision forward in this community, but I have complete faith that Oskaloosa will benefit for years under our leadership. To our department heads, Sean, Stu, Sean, Chief Vaughn, who's not here, Chief Bakey, you guys, your work often goes unnoticed by the public. But it's the bedrock of our success, I think, as a community. And especially want to thank Chief Bakey for assistance with a matter recently that was tough for me. To Alex, thank you for being the bridge between this council and the city manager's office. Your calm demeanor and strong sense of duty over the past year, I think, helped steer this council as we went through a transition that was difficult for everybody.
to Dave. You saw something in a 14-year-old child who, while annoying, showed up to a council meeting with questions and curiosity. You've been a mentor to me, Dave, a model, and I am proud to call you a friend. So thank you for your wisdom and your example, and I don't think I would have ever had the idea to seek public office if it wasn't for you kind of taking me under your wing all those years ago.
For kind comments.
So as I step away from serving in office, I just want to say this to the future leaders of Oskaloosa. Lead with compassion, stay focused on solutions, and remember that our strength comes from our shared purposes, not our differences. It's been a great honor to serve Oskaloosa, but it's time to turn the page on a new chapter, and that's one that's devoted to my daughters, my significant other, and her daughter. And while Monroe will always be our home, Oskaloosa is always going to be a part of me. I had someone the other day ask, what do you want your legacy to be? And I don't think I've earned the right to have a legacy, but I guess if there is one, it's my hope is that someday, long after I left this earth, a young person stumbles upon the names of those who serve this community, and that they pause to wonder how our decisions shape this community story, and also wonder if they too can serve. So if that moment ever comes, maybe something will be a bit of a legacy. So it's been a pleasure, and for the last time, that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
No comments about me, huh?
One thing with everybody, Joe. I can't get out of here soon enough.
A lot of times he sat in the audience to do the pledge, and you were the only one in the audience.
Sure was. Sure was.
Yeah. And I only had one other comment I wanted to add, and it was a compliment to to everyone involved with the e-cycling event that happened last weekend. The crowd of people going through, the number of volunteers picking up stuff, and so I can remember getting in line. You pop the back of the car open, somebody got in there and took out some really heavy stuff that I intended to lift
My back was
myself.
sore the next day.
Rhonda was a very big part of that, having to do chair of the landfill commission, by the way. So, but the number of volunteers, the semi-loads, plural.
Yeah, very organized too. The people, it's fantastically organized.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone that was part of that effort, both the folks who were leading it and then also the folks contributing to it. A lot of scrap electronics aren't going into the landfill, and we're very thankful for everyone who was involved with that, both sides. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good luck.